In this episode, we start with compliance training and monitoring, which is how an organization helps people understand the rules they must follow and then checks whether those rules are actually being followed. Compliance can sound dry at first, but it becomes practical when you think about the kinds of harm it is meant to prevent. Data can be mishandled, customers can be misled, financial systems can be abused, bribes can influence decisions, and employees may sign acknowledgements for policies they do not really understand. Training gives people the knowledge they need before mistakes happen. Monitoring gives the organization a way to detect patterns, prove expectations were communicated, and respond when behavior does not match the requirement. For Security Plus SY0801, the main point is that compliance is not just a legal department concern. It touches security, privacy, finance, operations, vendors, and daily work. Before we continue, a quick note. This audio course is part of our companion study series. The first book is a detailed study guide that explains the exam and helps you prepare for it with confidence. The second is a Kindle-only ebook with 1,000 flashcards you can use on your mobile device or Kindle for quick review. You can find both at Cyber.Me in the Bare Metal Study Guide series. Compliance means meeting obligations that come from laws, regulations, contracts, policies, standards, and internal rules. A law may require an organization to protect certain records. A contract may require a vendor to report incidents within a defined time. An internal policy may require employees to classify sensitive information before sharing it. A security standard may require encryption for certain data types. These obligations can overlap, and the organization needs a way to turn them into behavior people can follow. Training helps translate obligations into practical expectations. Monitoring checks whether the organization is meeting those expectations. If a company says it protects sensitive data but never trains staff, reviews access, tracks policy acknowledgements, or monitors handling practices, it has a weak compliance posture. Compliance is about evidence as much as intention. The organization needs to show that requirements were understood, applied, reviewed, and improved over time. Compliance training should be role-based whenever possible because different people face different risks. Everyone may need general training on security awareness, privacy, reporting suspicious activity, and acceptable use, but some roles need deeper instruction. A finance employee may need more training on fraud indicators, anti-money laundering, AML, and counter-terrorist financing, CTF, expectations. A human resources employee may need stronger training on employee records and privacy. A system administrator may need training on privileged access, logging, change control, and evidence preservation. A manager may need training on approval authority, conflicts of interest, and reporting responsibilities. Role-based training helps people understand the rules that apply to their actual work. It also avoids treating compliance as a generic annual video that people click through without connecting it to the decisions they make every day. Data handling is one of the most common compliance training topics because almost every organization stores or uses information that needs protection. Data handling explains how information should be collected, classified, stored, shared, transmitted, retained, and disposed of. It also explains who may access certain information and what safeguards are required. If you handle customer records, employee data, payment information, health information, legal files, or confidential business plans, the organization needs you to know what care is expected. Data handling mistakes are often simple. Someone sends a spreadsheet to the wrong person, stores a file in an unapproved location, prints sensitive information and leaves it behind, or shares more data than a partner actually needs. Training helps reduce those mistakes by making the correct behavior clear before the pressure of normal work takes over. Data handling training should also explain why classification matters. Classification gives information a sensitivity level so people can treat it properly. Public information can usually be shared freely, while confidential or restricted information needs stronger controls. Personally identifiable information, PII, may require special protection because it can identify or relate to a person. The exact labels may differ by organization, but the purpose is the same. You need to recognize that not all data is equal. Monitoring supports this by checking whether sensitive data is being stored, sent, or accessed in ways that violate policy. For example, Monitoring may detect sensitive files being sent outside the organization, stored in public folders, or accessed by accounts that do not appear to need them. Training sets the expectation, and monitoring helps confirm whether the expectation is holding up in real work. AML training focuses on preventing financial systems from being used to hide the source of illegal money. Money laundering is the process of making funds from criminal activity appear legitimate. This can involve moving money through accounts, businesses, transactions, or financial products to obscure where the money came from. CTF focuses on preventing money or resources from supporting terrorism. These topics are especially important in banking, financial services, insurance, fintech, certain nonprofit activities, and businesses that process high-value transactions. From a cybersecurity perspective, these areas matter because financial crime often uses identity abuse, account takeover, fake accounts, phishing, mule accounts, and suspicious transaction patterns. Training helps employees recognize warning signs and understand reporting duties. Monitoring helps the organization detect unusual activity that humans may miss when individual transactions look ordinary in isolation. AML and CTF monitoring often depends on patterns rather than one obvious event. A single transaction may not look suspicious by itself, but a series of transactions may raise concern because of timing, amounts, locations, account behavior, or relationships between parties. Monitoring may look for unusual transfers, rapid movement of funds, inconsistent customer behavior, use of many accounts, attempts to avoid reporting thresholds, or activity involving high-risk regions or entities. You do not need to become a financial crimes investigator for the Security Plus exam. The point is to understand that compliance monitoring can be used to detect behavior that violates legal and regulatory duties. Security teams may support these efforts through logging, identity controls, fraud detection systems, access reviews, and protection of the data used during investigations. Anti-bribery training helps prevent improper payments, gifts, favors, or benefits from influencing decisions. Bribery can involve money, travel, entertainment, jobs for relatives, special discounts, donations, or anything else of value offered to gain an unfair advantage. This matters in vendor selection, sales, procurement, government interactions, licensing, inspections, and international business. A person may not think of a gift or favor as a security issue, but bribery can weaken controls by corrupting decisions. A vendor might be selected despite poor security. A reviewer might ignore a failed control. An employee might share sensitive information because someone offered a benefit. Training helps people recognize risky situations and know when to ask for guidance. It also explains reporting channels and the importance of documenting decisions. Good anti-bribery controls protect the organization's integrity, reputation, and legal standing. Monitoring for bribery and corruption is different from monitoring for malware, but the goal is still to detect concerning behavior. The organization may review expense reports, gifts and entertainment records, vendor onboarding, procurement approvals, conflicts of interest disclosures, payments, donations, and unusual contract changes. It may also look for patterns where one person repeatedly approves the same vendor, bypasses normal review, or uses vague business justifications. These patterns do not automatically prove wrongdoing, but they may deserve review. Compliance monitoring must be handled carefully because it can involve sensitive personnel and financial information. The organization needs fairness, privacy, proper authorization, and clear escalation paths. From your exam perspective, connect anti-bribery monitoring to governance and accountability. It helps verify that decisions are being made for proper business reasons rather than personal gain. Attestations and acknowledgements are another part of compliance programs. An acknowledgement usually means a person confirms they have received, read, or understood a policy or training requirement. An attestation is often a stronger statement that something is true, complete, or compliant. For example, an employee might acknowledge the acceptable use policy. A manager might attest that access reviews were completed. A vendor might attest that it follows required security controls. These records matter because organizations need evidence that responsibilities were communicated and accepted. They also create accountability. If someone later claims they did not know a policy existed, the acknowledgement record may show that the policy was provided and accepted. Still, An attestation is not the same as proof in every situation. It is evidence, but it may need to be supported by monitoring, testing, audit results, or documentation. Compliance monitoring should be designed to support improvement, not only punishment. If monitoring shows repeated mistakes in data handling, the answer may be better training, clearer labels, improved tools, or simpler procedures. If employees keep failing to complete required acknowledgements, the organization may need better reminders, manager reporting, or easier access to training. If suspicious financial activity appears, the organization needs a defined investigation process and proper escalation. If anti-bribery controls show unusual patterns, the organization may need a careful review before jumping to conclusions. Monitoring gives signals, and signals need interpretation. A mature compliance program looks for root causes. Sometimes people break rules intentionally, but many problems come from confusing procedures, poor system design, unclear ownership, or training that does not match actual work. Evidence is a major reason compliance training and monitoring are so important. During an audit, investigation, regulatory review, vendor review, or legal dispute, the organization may need to show what it required and what it did. Training records can show who completed required instruction. Acknowledgements can show who accepted policy expectations. Monitoring reports can show how the organization looked for violations. Attestations can show that managers, vendors, or control owners confirmed responsibilities. Corrective action records can show that issues were not ignored. This evidence helps demonstrate due care. Due care means the organization made reasonable efforts to meet its responsibilities. Evidence does not guarantee that nothing bad will happen, but it shows that compliance was managed as an active program rather than treated as a vague promise. There are common misunderstandings to avoid. Compliance is not the same as security, although they overlap. An organization can pass a compliance check and still have security weaknesses. It can also have strong security practices that go beyond minimum compliance requirements. Training is not automatically effective just because people completed it. Monitoring is not automatically fair or useful just because data was collected. Attestations are not automatically complete proof just because someone signed them. You should also avoid thinking of compliance as only external regulation. Internal policies and contracts can create real obligations too. For Security Plus SY0801, the exam wants you to recognize how compliance training, monitoring, acknowledgements, and attestations help an organization manage required behavior, prove expectations were communicated, and detect when reality does not match the rule. The main idea to carry forward is that compliance becomes real when people understand their obligations and the organization checks whether those obligations are being met. Data handling training helps protect information through its life cycle. AML and CTF training and monitoring help prevent financial systems from being abused for criminal or terrorist activity. Anti-bribery training helps protect decisions from improper influence. Monitoring looks for patterns, gaps, and violations that need attention. Attestations and acknowledgements create records of responsibility, but they work best when supported by evidence and review. Compliance is not just a set of documents on a shelf. It is a living process of teaching, checking, documenting, correcting, and improving. When you see these topics on the exam, connect them to accountability, evidence, and repeatable behavior.
Thanks for listening. For more audio courses, daily newsletters, and more, please visit DailyCyber.News.